Hello, and today I have a massive video. This is extremely important, this video. This is how to grow any B2B company in 2024 made for tech agents and the AI offers. Let's just get straight into it, no fluff at all. So, number one, if you're one of these people that sees all the offers in the market right now, basically we'll book you 10 to 15 appointments in the next 3 days, or you don't pay, blah, 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 all this ridiculous right now, keep watching this video because to be honest, I'm in the same boat. Let me just take a sip right now. Quick little Diet Coke, not too worried about aspartame or whatever it is. But yeah, everything in the market right now just seems like complete BS, if you ask me. Everyone's saying just more and more ridiculous stuff, but then the problem pops up that companies, including my own company, still need growth. So as much as I would love to say that we can all just post cat videos on TikTok and scale up to, ridiculous levels, like, become a unicorn company or just spend 40 hours a month networking and find deals that way, it's just not feasible. So regardless of how you go about doing it, essentially, if you want to scale your business, you're going to do it by convincing complete strangers that are freezing cold to buy your stuff. That's the only way. You have to convince strangers to buy your stuff somehow. Otherwise, you're basically always going to be bottlenecked by either who you know or something else, rather than just having an endless flow of leads into the top of the funnel, because you can really never have enough of that. So regardless of anything else, we still need leads in the top of the funnel, and we still need mercenary level sales ability when it comes to outbound prospecting and also converting traffic, especially when we're talking about scaling or building a winning business rather than just the complete, 0 to 1 beginner stuff that, you might see in the market at the moment. And there is a time and place for that, but if you're in that phase, this is probably still going to work for you, but this is primarily built for people who have proof of concept and are looking for the next level. So, in this video, no crazy claims from me, nothing too ridiculous, just straight value. I'm just going to give you the entire process away for free. This might be a little bit of a longer video, but it's going to be extremely valuable. And then you can either use this stuff for yourself or you can work with us to implement it for you. Like I literally thought I probably shouldn't give away the stuff that's in this video, but I spoke with a mentor and he just said, give it all away, like just don't hold anything back. So despite making me a bit uncomfortable to do this video, I am going to be making this video. I'm going to give it all away for free and it's going to go A to Z. So here we go. For context, I used to be a sales rep for a 7-figure business, and now I run a growth marketing agency where we act as a fractional revenue officer for B2B companies. We've added about $250K a month in new deals for clients in the last 6 to 8 months, and that's for tech companies with partners at Google, others with funding, pretty high levels of funding, all the way down to agencies and recruiting companies that are more typical of the online space. And our best performing client the last couple of months has added 65K MRR. I think that's up a little bit in new deals, and they booked 37 calls last month. So that took about 5 months. So they've been doing quite well. I also consult for a bunch of B2B companies on their offer and high ticket strategy as a part of the Client Ascension coaching program, multi-7-figure coaching program. Here you can see me at their mastermind a few weeks ago. Got some killers in the audience, so been a pleasure to work with them. And honestly, what I'm seeing right now is that the best growth hacks require a bit of a combination of the enterprise level diligence that you see, in a unicorn level growth company, unicorn level of growth company, as well as the scrappiness of the internet marketer style. So there's some case studies for you just for context, and here we go. Let's just jump into it. That's all just stuff just for a little bit of proof. So book a call and get access to bonuses. So we've got VSL frameworks, end-to-end sales processes, pipeline management guides that we have. If you want to book a call straight away, you can just get access to them. Also, there's a fourth little bonus there, just a little secret one. That's just a special one for you if you want to book a call. Again, this is primarily for people with good tech and or services behind them. So this is for people who are masters at building products and services that are A1. I do not want to deal with anyone that is not elite at their service, because I want people that want people to love what they have. So I want people that love when their customers are begging to work with them just based off how good their product is. I want people that hate the fact that inferior products in the market are getting results right now and you know that you're better deep down. I want people who have the feeling that the market is a little bit rocky right now, and that things that used to work super well are no longer working as well and are finding it a little bit harder to distribute the stuff that they have, whilst avoiding begging people for business. You probably see a ton of pretenders in the market right now, both in the growth and in the services and tech side. A lot of people offering crazy stuff, but they just lack the ability to actually do anything. This is also for you if you're sick of people making crazy claims and you just don't want to be associated with that. So if you want to make great cash without making crazy offers, this is for you and you should watch this video. You want to make great offers to great clients. So you want to avoid working with failing businesses that operate out of scarcity, you probably hate unqualified sales calls. I know I do. This is for the people that have a good level of early success that are also looking to optimize their processes so they can reach a higher level of scale. They want to really break past whatever plateau they're at to really just push into that range of the goals that they had when they started out. So what we'll be covering, this is going to be the process you can use to turn freezing cold leads into red hot buyers at high velocity without crazy sales ability or a big and expensive sales team. We're going to cover the methods we're using to actually generate qualified buyers instead of just wasting time booking calls with tire kickers who aren't even in the right niche. We're going to talk about why the convergence of sales, marketing, and products is the key to super product market fit. We're going to talk about finding the right balance between automation and human interaction in the AI gold rush. We're going to talk about the biggest problem that all the types of businesses we've discussed are going to run into in the future. We're going to talk about how to outrun your competitors in your outbound efforts, and we're going to talk about how to beat out the rest of your market via differentiation at the offer and positioning level. So we'll get some fun stuff. Question I'll ask you, if I told you that you were going to never have to worry about a clear growth plan ever again after listening to this next couple of minutes, would it be worth pretending like you have a good attention span? Hope so. So what's going on right now is that companies got funded during the economic run we had a few years ago, and they're now panicking to get lean and find product market fit. So sales resistance is also through the roof because everybody is constantly getting sold to. It's much, much harder to get people on the phone now in comparison to the old days, which was only a few years ago or even a few months ago. Outbound prospecting and cold email work much worse than they did a few years ago because everyone's figured out how to do it. And don't worry, we're going to cover the solution a bit later in this video. Because of the rapid spread of information again, things that are working even 6 to 12 months ago are now no longer working. So that's absolutely crazy. The fastest spread of the information that we're experiencing at the moment means a lot of these tactics are getting burnt out very, very quickly. So we have a need to stay ahead of the curve and find market insights much, much faster. And again, this is also making it harder to stand out because people are just copying each other. It's very, very easy to just see someone's business model and just rip it and just go, word for word. So modes are harder to come by. Again, agencies are also popping up left and right, offering 10 to 15 leads per month. And the offers are just becoming more and more outlandish. So you probably would have seen this. Coaching programs and courses are pretty much democratizing business models and causing kind of a flood of amateurs just to jump into the market and just kind of say a bunch of random stuff. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. So again, it's harder and harder to stand out. So in saying that, a lot of these tech companies and enterprises have been kind of slow to pick up on a lot of the things from the internet marketing space and something that they may see as basic, quote unquote, which means that there's a huge information arbitrage for a beginner from the internet marketing space to appear as an expert when in reality it's just an exchange of niche knowledge. So if you're in that if you don't know exactly what's going on at the moment, what I'm going to do in this video is show you all of that stuff just so you can sort of avoid getting taken advantage of as well, because this can kind of lead to really high expectations and low levels of delivery and execution. I'm sure you would have seen guys like this. No disrespect to these guys, but there's a lot of people that look the exact same. I'm not sure where these guys all popped up, but there's a bunch of similar stuff going on in the market because a lot of these offers in the market that target these beginners, there's obviously money here, but it also leaves people that are operating at a higher level thinking, what do I even do? The market seems really, really saturated, but we still need to grow. We still need to go out and get leads. We still need to fill our top of funnels. We still need to book out our calendars. And it's clear that these people need growth, and there is a high level of demand, which is what has attracted these fakes in the first place. But now it's just even more people empty-handed that are looking for a real solution rather than just theory or something that's come from a course. And again, these markets are really tight across the board. So with the economy, buyer behavior, situation in Israel, Ukraine, etc., there's a million things at all times that are tensing up right now, let alone in the sales and business space. So people are really preoccupied, really, really tense at the moment. There's a lot going on in the world, and there has been for the last couple of years. So the crux of it all is that it's incredibly difficult to sell products and services at the moment because energy is a scarce resource. People are really tired. They're just sick and tired of the BS. And it's getting to the point where people are sick of the novelty and they're just looking to generate a high quality of life. It's really it's actually quite simple. We're almost going back to first principles. Something else to be aware of is that good talent is really hard to come by. So I don't know if you would have seen this, but younger generations don't really want to work. The state of the world and its future seem pretty grim if you look out on the streets, etc. So there's a bit of a labor shortage at the moment, and all the best companies are fighting for the best talent. And you can see this at tech companies that basically offer a 5-star resort level of lifestyle to their employees, just hoping that they don't quit and then become a yogi and go to Bali after reaching enlightenment from ayahuasca or something. That's kind of what's going on at the moment. So to give you a bit of a handle, let's go all the way back to first principles and talk about foundational principles of attack. That's what I want to do. This stuff is, this isn't the stuff that's talked about a lot, but this is the stuff that is actually important, that's genuinely going to be valuable for you. So I'm just going to try and drive this value. Trust me, it might sound a bit wah. This is extremely important stuff. Number one thing in your company right now, and this is what I'm doing. Actually, no, let me just actually flip that. The number one principle in my company right now, I'm not going to tell you exactly what to do because this is just how I'm going about it, is feedback loops. Because the way that I see it, if you mess up, it's fine. It's not an issue. As long as you find out what you did extremely quickly. Because the way I see it, if I can fail and fix it in a short period of time, and then do that over and over again, it doesn't actually matter where you started, because it's inevitable that if you fail and then fix it fast enough, it's inevitable that over time you're going to reach the result. It's the only way. The only thing that you can do if you have a fast enough feedback loop, if you do something, test it and iterate, is eventually reach the result. But the caveat to that is if you mess up and it takes 6 months to find out, that means you wasted 6 months. That's the worst case scenario. And at the same time, if you get a win, but you didn't realize what you were doing was the correct thing, that's also kind of an L, because not knowing what you were doing is good will also prevent you from doubling down and getting more results. So you can see that the key is to run a really tight feedback loop, which just lets you adjust when losing and double down when winning, which is absolutely crucial to long-term success and fast success and being ahead of the market. So what we need to do is go and get these insights, iterate, and then go again and do that very, very quickly. So you can see there, action, effect, feedback, action, effect, feedback, and you can see the loop that goes on there. Number 2, energy is the key. So time is worth absolutely zero if you don't have the energy to fulfill this. So from the last, from our time in the market, this is what we've seen. We've seen a lot of founders have a lot of difficulty in actually executing their plans. We have a lot of great thinkers. We have a lot of people that are great at theorizing, but there's not a lot of people that are really good at executing at the moment. We have a lot of visionaries, but not many people actually in the trenches doing the work they say they're going to do. Even if they seem like that, this is something that not many people will admit, but they don't have the energy to get things done. So anyone that's been in the game for a while knows that businesses are limited by their founder. So having a founder with high energy and high enthusiasm is going to attract employees of the same style, which is going to lead to much faster growth. So even if you're not an Energizer Bunny type, you do need to be able to lead from the front and set a really good example, because as the CEO, you basically just need to have unlimited energy to show up for the team. So you're the star player, the GM, the rainmaker, and the coach at the same time. So essentially, you need to be LeBron James. Like, no one cares if LeBron's tired that day. They just expect him to show up and do the business. So number 3, foundational principle of attack, understanding people and personality types. This is absolutely huge. I cannot stress this enough. Something about people that you have to know is that they have intrinsic traits that they cannot change that make them predisposed towards a certain type of thinking. So some people are going to be very logical, maybe like right brain. I can't even remember what type of brain it is, but they're going to be very logical, whilst some others will have left brain or creative brain. This basically extrapolates to all walks of life in different ways. So you want to use this information to inform the partnerships you make, the key hires you make, and also who you go for advice in regards to consultants, etc. And just in terms of how you treat people as well. You want to accept that you're going to have weaknesses, and this is actually how to figure out what you need to do. So for example, I hired an operations guy because he thinks in very systems-based thinking, he thinks in spreadsheets, whereas my thinking is more intuitive, so I need a bit of a counterbalance. This has had a great impact on my business. This is really going to help you deal with teams better, clients, personal life, etc. Most disagreements and failures can actually be boiled down to not being able to understand the other person. So if you can hone in on these traits and the psychological nature, then you're going to be better able to see other perspectives, etc. And that's just going to make you a better human as well. That's not even business related. But recently, I took a personality test and I was told I am the mechanic archetype with a touch of creator. And basically what this means is that my greatest strength is improving systems that already exist. So that makes a ton of sense to me. And that's exactly what I've done with this process that I'm about to outline in a second here. Because like I said, there's a lot of stuff that's in the market. It's not exactly serving the market as well as it could be. So there's a little bit of proof that sort of, after this presentation, I suggest you probably go and do this for yourself and find out exactly where you're at, where to hire, where your best partnerships are going to be made, where your energy is best spent, et cetera, et cetera. This is going to give you an edge because if you think about it, this is going to be able to put your inputs to get a higher level of outputs, which is basically leverage because it just determines where you're spending your time. So if you can spend your time on one thing that might be creative, you're going to get more output than someone else just because your traits suggest that you should be there versus if you waste your time doing something that your traits aren't aligned with, you're wasting your time, you're going to get lower outputs, which is literally the definition of leverage. So just take that into account. Number 4, if a man not knows which port he sails, no wind is favorable. So this is what the 10 to 15 appointments guys got wrong. So they didn't know where to go. They basically just copied someone else, hope for the best, and decided this might work based on the fact that the ads are still running. I think it may work, but it's definitely a very fast way to commoditize yourself. And if you wait just a second, I have a really good analogy for this. Because basically with what's available in 2023, you can pretty much get anywhere. Like there's so much stuff available. If you just leverage the information, resources, and strategies that people have already made, a lot, like you can do a lot. Like there's not really any limitations on that side, on the strategic side, or on the, on the execution side. There's all this stuff out there, which means there's a lot of value in the strategic thinking rather than the actual, how do you execute that strategic thinking, if you know what I mean? So that means the value is, where are you aiming? What can you aim at? Where's the decision? Where's the highest leverage is the actual judgment behind what you're doing, rather than, how can I do some outreach on LinkedIn? You just send a bunch of requests. It's like you can just watch a YouTube video and find that stuff out. What you can't find out is the judgment to just figure out where to go. Because if you set the reason this is important, is if you set the coordinates wrong from the start, let's say you have a 3% deviation from where you actually want to be, over thousands and thousands of miles, you're going to end up very far from where you actually want to go. So you're going to see this every time someone gets rich and doesn't know what to do with themselves. They end up super sad because they didn't define where they want to go from the very start. And it's not a solution to just get rich. They end up where they don't want to be. All of a sudden, everyone is sad. Same thing happens when business owners pursue a direction with their company that is slightly wrong, and they should be going in another direction. Something as small as this can have a major impact over time. Where were we? I just had to stop to get myself up on my standing desk. So basically, this is where the 10 to 15 appointments guys got it wrong, because basically they didn't know where to go. They just had to copy someone else and hope for the best. But as a result, and hold on, let me get Siri out of the way. As a result, essentially what ended up happening was they just commoditized themselves. So what's the point of that? And like I said, with what's available, you can pretty much get anywhere you want to go. So all the value is in what it's used. Number 5, blessed are those who find wisdom, those who gain understanding. So this is literally from the Bible, so you can't argue with it too much. Basically the original primary source. More than ever right now, you need to seek wisdom in the markets and find unique edges that you can capitalize on. So capitalizing on the arbitrages available, basically the only thing that's going to let you survive against the external forces that are impacting the markets right now. This is why things like cold email have become so popular in recent years. There was an easy arbitrage available that no one was doing. So now it's a bit harder, but still available in some places if you know where to look. We're going to cover this a bit later, so just wait. Gaining these edges and gaining understanding is basically like interlinked with each other. So gaining understanding is the thing that provides the edge, and gaining the edge is sometimes the thing with the understanding. So when you get that edge, you sort of go into the market a bit more, you find some unique insights, and that's where you get it back. So it's kind of a self-fulfilling loop. An example of this is one of my clients created their offer based off a 3-second snippet that provided a singular insight that has now changed an entire market. So you only get access to that sort of thing by being deeply entrenched in what you're doing and spending significant calories with no guarantees of a return. So you just have to be out there just doing stuff, and then, lucky just falls in your lap almost at times. So next one is number 6. So chase leverage like it's going out of fashion. Have you ever felt like, your skill set, service or product is basically better than other people, but your results don't show that? They don't show the cash flow. It doesn't reflect how skilled you are. The truth here is that a lot of people will do much less than you, but they'll get much higher return on their time just because of the leverage. If you've read Andy Navarre or if you're big on Hormozi, you'll know this as well. Again, this also ties to the point about arbitrages, energy, personality types, all of this stuff, because what we're looking for is where you can get outsized growth for for less input. So same inputs, more growth. That's basically what you're optimizing for the whole time. Even with the niche, the offer, you're basically saying, I want to do the exact same growth stuff, but I want to have so much leverage injected into it that it's going to be able to essentially just make me explode while other people are still sort of stuck in the mud. And potentially a unique stance on this is something like finding a new channel, a new offer, new angle can be the highest leverage piece if you're looking at growth. So you can do this by the exact same inputs, like I said, but if you hit a different channel of competitors, if you do it slightly different, sometimes you can do the exact same thing as your competitor, but you can just get that exponential growth for no change. Literally the exact same thing. That is the type of leverage that I absolutely love, especially when it comes to growth, like I said. So then it comes to the question of how are you dodging the fakes and dominating your market? And like I said, honestly, the biggest problem I'm seeing at the moment is that copy paste solutions are being distributed at high volume. So there's very little nuance to the market at the moment. And for that reason, I want to be very, very clear that what I'm going to cover in this video is just one way to grow a company. It might not be a fit for you, and it might not make sense for you to follow this protocol. In fact, I would honestly say most people need a custom solution. So for a custom solution, you can go to my calendar there at softronsolutions.com, and I'll make a custom plan for you live on the call. So whether you want to book in or not, I will say the rest of this video will cover the exact process I've been using, and it is insanely valuable. So if you want to go watch to the end, I'll give you a nice bonus. Just DM me bonus. It'll probably be worth somewhere in the middle of a $997 course and a 10K coaching program. I'll probably chuck it right in the middle of there. But yeah, honestly, I haven't decided what it is. I just guarantee you it'll be fire. So the key to getting the edge over the competition is one of the tenets I mentioned earlier. So if you want to cast your mind back about 2 minutes, I said it was from the Bible. So its validity cannot be argued. So the key concept here is that people that are blessed are the ones who find wisdom and the ones who gain understanding. So to truly win in 2023, you need to run your own tests, do your own marketing, reject funnel hacking, reject cookie cutter solutions, stop buying these coaching programs, masterminds, and courses, stop buying these networking groups, and actually get close to the source, aka your customer. You want to be radically open-minded and ask yourself, how do I know I am right? Instead of telling yourself I am right. That's from Ray Dalio. So how do I know I'm right instead of telling yourself I am right? I know people that have completely rebuilt their entire products. I know people that have gone all the way back to zero just because going from 0 to 1 is a different question than going from 1 to 10. Sometimes it's easier to go all the way back to 0 than to just go and keep trying to push through the bad stuff that you've built because you're emotionally attached to it. It's really, really important that you are going with radical open-mindedness. Trust me on that. And again, like I said, we have a really good analogy for this in Australia. Obviously, we're living in a bit of a desert, so we have some snakes here. And interestingly enough, it's very rare that any citizen will die from a snake bite. Basically just because when compared to the rate that snake experts like zookeepers, etc., will die from a snake bite. So more often than not, a citizen will not die versus a snake bite, just on average. The reason being, when a citizen gets bitten, they'll basically go to the hospital, say, I don't know what snake bit me. And then as a result, they're going to get the broad range of anti-venom that covers all bases. On the flip side, you talk to a snake expert, they can say, look, I'm absolutely certain I got bitten by, a rattlesnake. I'm so certain. And then they're going to get given the anti-venom for that specific species. They're going to get given the rattlesnake anti-venom. But that person is only going to die because they have been given the incorrect anti-venom. So by preemptively believing they already knew the species, they actually reduce their likelihood of a good outcome compared to the person that says, I don't know, let's cover our bases. So the lesson in there is, instead of saying, look, I already know my market, maybe you've got experience there, or look, I already know my market, it's all good. You need to go in and act as a white belt and then take the approach of the white belt and continually be a student and continue to learn from your customers. Because again, another Bible reference for you, there is a way that appears to be right, but in the end leads to death. And again, read up on the Bible. This is not original stuff. This is from the source text, regardless of what religion you're from. And again, this style is not aimed at, trying to squeeze the last bits of juice from a lemon with a couple of micro optimizations. This is about how to find 1,000x opportunity vehicles and find a whole new box of lemons that are just ripe for the picking, that you can just start picking up lemons left and right, start squeezing those bad boys wherever you want. Because they're so filled with juice that as soon as you get within a 5-meter radius of them, they start shooting out lemonade. Even if you have an offer that is pre-PMF, and even if you have an offer that is saturated, you want to go ahead and find one of these opportunities that has a fresh set of lemons. Again, this exact solution is very, very, very customized. So that's why the custom plan is necessary, because it's very difficult for me to go and say through a video, hey, here's your 1,000x solution. Here's your 1,000x solution. This is something that can only be developed after talking to customers, after seeing a lot of offers in the market, and thousands of data points that aren't necessarily available online. Again, you can take all these courses, you can watch all these YouTube videos, you can take all this info on that, all this stuff's already out there. So what's not out there are the sneaky little hacks you can use to increase LTV, reduce churn, re-engage pipeline, or even make your customers perk up like a dog that smells some food. What's not out there is the ability to apply leverage to your offer without becoming a course guru, because that's what people say, oh yeah, apply some leverage to your offer, and then they just say sell a course. But obviously, we're not here to sell courses. We're here to run B2B businesses. These are for legit businesses. What's not out there is how to stop having to beg people for their business and never being able to kick deals over the line. So that's what we're going to cover today. Without further ado, what a beautiful intro. Here we go. Number one, this is how you do it, okay? Strap in. As per the core concept, you are going to need to conduct rapid testing and determine exactly where the market is. Like I said, guessing is a fool's game. All of the money is essentially located in getting the best insights and creating your own data set so you can be ahead of the competition. You cannot afford to be reacting to what your competitors are doing. You can't afford to be reacting to what funnel hackers are doing. When you're looking at other people's stuff constantly, you're always going to be on the back foot. Half the time, it's probably not even working as well as it seems. You just want the validation of having someone else do it. I can't tell you how many times I'm talking to someone and they'll say, oh, but my competitor's doing this. And I already know what's going on in their competitor's business just from being, fairly well connected. Sometimes I'll just have information and I'll just say, look, their ads aren't even converting, or whatever they're doing, it's not even working. You just look at your competitor and that you feel like they have some type of authority over you because the grass is always greener. You always assume the best in other people and you always assume the worst in yourself. So what you need to do is have some conviction. My gosh, he's literally like, what's going on here is it's akin to flying through space and all you have is a compass. So it's very difficult to have conviction, but it's very much required. You need to have a lot of focus and you need to cut out the noise, because if you let anything near the compass that you have, it's like putting a magnet next to it. So if you let any noise in, it's like you put a magnet next to your compass, all of a sudden you're flying through space with a wonky compass. So you need to really, really stay focused here, because noise is like BS from competitors. You should be ahead of them. Social media, especially entrepreneur social media, everyone is basically selling stuff and just spreading beliefs that align with their offer. So obviously a lot of that is tainted and a lot of that is bias. A lot of that is going to be saying, XYZ strategy is dead. Don't use sales to find PMF. Use sales to find PMF. Don't do this, do that. Don't do that. That's dead. All this networking business, like there's so much stuff that's just complete BS in the moment, as well as a lot of external opinions. So even people you look up to as well. That's like, even people you look up to, you almost have to neglect, because your own data set is always going to be superior to other people's data sets. You're the only one that actually knows truthfully where you're at and what the best decision is going to be. So for example, Alex Hormozi, a lot of people look up to him. He says, don't do a morning routine. But what if you've found biologically that a morning routine would boost your productivity by 37% and only cost you 1 hour, which meant that if you took that 37% increase, it's going to increase your total output when you did a cost benefit analysis. How much of a dickhead would you be if you then didn't do a morning routine just because Hormozi said so? So just be aware of this. You have to A/B test yourself. So again, every single detail, individually test on your own data set. Offers, routines, locations, social media strategies, organization structures. What works for one person in one time period is not going to work for someone else later on, especially not to the same effect. You can't just say, Hormozi grew a company doing this, so I need to do the exact same thing. Or Imad Gadzhi did this, so I need to do this. You need to innovate something new based off something that you're seeing already work. So if you see something already work, look at it and say, I'm going to raise you +1, and then test it and validate it on the real playing field in real time. This is why people are struggling so much, is because someone will grow a company 3 years ago and then sell a mastermind or sell a course, sell information. Then all of a sudden, it's not that it didn't work. It's that the market changes, the market develops, and you need to adapt to what is currently happening in order to find that 97%, that 98%, that 99%, that 100% efficiency, because it's only available to those who work off the current set of information. I cannot, oh my God, I'm almost getting riled up. You need just work off what's currently working, okay? And again, doesn't mean that you're going to go make some stuff up. Work off what the market's giving you in terms of winning offers channels, of course. I'm not saying go and just, make up a complete random thing. Like, you need to work off what's working. But what you do need to do is think of it like poker. So you say, okay, poker, I'm going to see your $20 bid, and then I'm going to raise you $20 as well. So you see them, you say, okay, I'm surveying the market, this is what's going on. Then you can just raise the bar. That's the way to do it. That's how you succeed in B2B. Again, caveat, if you can access a niche with lower awareness, then what you can do is you can take winning offers across the pond to the new niche, and you can get a lot of leverage that way as well. So just be aware of that. And again, testing mechanisms. So the best testing mechanism, are social media content. So if you have a brand with your ICP in the audience, you can post content and see which angles pick up resonance. So you can see where the people want you to go, but beware that it also depends on who follows you. So this might be a bunch of funnel hackers therefore not indicative of market sentiment. So the pros there are that it's very fast and free if you already have a brand. The cons there are that it can take ages to build up if you don't already have it. And it also can show false positives, false negatives due to poor targeting. Another thing that I didn't think of when I was writing this initially was that they might be too nice to you. So if you're thinking of something, they might say, oh yeah, that's a great idea, mate. Like you're a genius. But in reality, they're just sort of too nice. Another testing mechanism can be ads. If you have cash in the bank, this can be a great option. Typically at least 50K per month in revenue or higher, ideally higher, because you don't want to be, sweating over cash flow. Pros being very fast feedback loop. And again, that depends on cash flow. You need to be spending a certain amount on ads to get that fast feedback loop. They're also very, very scalable. I definitely recommend this for a lot of businesses if they're in that high cash flow range. The only cons are obviously expensive, obviously competitive, obviously, costs are high, etc. Can be bad for brand if you're doing it wrong. And they also can be unreliable based on Zuckerberg's BJJ tournament that day. So if Zuckerberg's getting wins, like, sometimes he often does, then you're good, but, don't catch him after he, gets choked out. Another testing mechanism, cold email and cold call combo. A lot of times this can be the easiest and fastest way to get in contact with people just by literally I'm just going to email, I'm just going to call them. Pros, fast feedback loop, accurate targeting because you can choose to the exact email, the exact phone number, the exact, filters that you want to get. Cons, just being that it's very technical. It's very difficult to set this up correctly in terms of email. It's also very competitive. Like I mentioned, a lot of people know at least at some level how to do this. You can also easily get banned by the sending platforms if you don't know how to navigate it, because you can imagine how bad the user experience has become for a lot of email people because they're just getting thousands and thousands of emails. So that's not necessarily in the best interest of the platforms. So they need to, really crack down on this, which is completely fair. We're just going to be the ones that, you need to be, if you're going to do this, you need to be sending all that stuff. So you need to be getting around all that stuff. And that introduces a lot of moving parts, like I say here, lead scraping, domains, inbox management, tech, backend codes, custom IP addresses, all this stuff that you need to do to dodge bans can be, a lot of moving parts. Depending on the offer, and this is a massive caveat, I usually opt for cold email to start. And then for scaling, you either want to go to more cold email if it's really working, or you can run ads using the proven angles from cold email. So what you're doing is you're going and getting data points from the emails. You can look at the stats and see what's working. Reasons being, you can get direct feedback within 3 days. And most people, this is another thing. Most people are going to say they need 14 days, but with a few techniques we can send in 7 days and then get feedback and calls booked within 10 days. So just be aware of that. Problem with most people doing cold emails, number one, they're too spammy. So they're going to hit lists over and over again with no level of intent, which then leads to damaged reputation and extremely negative responses. Number two is that they have freezing cold leads that are not qualified, that they're basically going to do anything that they can do to get them on the calendar because they're like, yeah, I'm going to book so many calls. I'm going to book, 20 calls a month. And then they just get all these freezing cold leads on the calendar. That's not what you want. Nobody actually likes taking these calls. They're focused on, I say it down there as well, they're focused on booking random people on the calendar because they get paid per call. And then they're probably going to get upset if you say the call is unqualified. It's super stupid. Another thing is that they don't have the technical capacity to make it work. So a lot of people's deliverability is off because they don't have the appropriate backend. So again, that's something to be aware of. Solution, you need to use the email to CTA to value. So you need to use the email to call to action to value. So what that means is instead of saying, hey, let's get on a call, hey, buy my stuff, it's like, hey, can I give you value? So then all of a sudden you aren't on the same level as the other spammers. So you say, hey, here's a no-brainer offer to this email. It's stupid for you to not respond. Give me 1 sec, someone's calling me. So by delivering something that's essentially just a no-brainer offer, just like plain and simple, a lot of the times what it's going to let you do is engage a segment of the email market that was previously unavailable. So does that make sense? So you are going to be able to access people who will positively reply that would never ever positively reply to an email just with a no-brainer offer. That is extremely important because previously it might be that maybe 1% of cold email people will reply. It might be high, it might be low. Let's just say arbitrary number, 1% might reply. 1% of the total market. Then by giving something that's a little bit different, a little bit more valuable, it's going to allow you to access more of that 99% that would never ever reply to an email in the first place, if that makes sense. So let's say 99% of people never reply to emails. That's kind of what the case is, like they just hate emails. So all of a sudden by doing that, you get access to this massive part of the market that's where all the scale is, rather than only being able to convert people that are in their absolute moment of conversion. So that way, the frame of when you're reaching out, it's like, hey, is this valuable thing relevant to you? Instead of, hey, buy my shit. All of a sudden you seem a little bit less salesy, you can start building trust, and all of a sudden you can start getting your campaigns to 2 to 3x or more in how well they convert. That's something that we've seen pretty straightforward. Like it's an easy 2 to 3x every single time that we change. We A/B test what's this campaign versus this campaign. The value campaign is 2 to 3x at least. So you need to be making no-brainer offers to free value, because the goal of cold outreach is not necessarily to get them to buy. The goal is more so to get them to warm up. So the top of the funnel is the top of the funnel, and all you're looking to do is invite them to take the next step down the funnel rather than just trying to push them to the finish line. This is a really key insight. You're looking for people to enter your funnel rather than looking for buyers. If you look for buyers, you're only going to access that 1%. If you're looking to fill up your funnel, you're going to be able to access the 99% of the market that isn't necessarily looking to buy right now, but they are in the market for a solution, sort of just poking around. And then when they think of the solution, they might think of you if your valuable stuff is good enough. Key there is that you have to have good valuable stuff. Number 2, remember you are looking for buyers and insights. So you want to have this in mind in your targeting and general thesis. So like I said, you are looking to fill up the funnel for people that might buy, ever, like not necessarily just converting right now, but also for the future, but you are looking for buyers. So you don't want to just, give away ridiculous amounts of free stuff. Like it's obviously not charity. You want to be very aware and, transparent. Hey, the reason I'm doing this is because a certain percentage of you are going to see this and want to buy. And you're also looking for insights. And the reason I say you're looking for insights is because you're looking for, hey, which angle got people to respond more, which targeting, which niche, which ICP, et cetera, et cetera. And number 3, something to be aware of is you need an insane back-end structure to not only set this up, but also to maintain it. So that's, again, something to be super aware of. And to do this, essentially you need a level of status or authority in your market for it to be perceived as good outreach, quote unquote. If Hormozi sent you a cold email from his personal address and said, hey, let's get on a call, you're probably going to get on that call. The reason is status and value. Like he's driven value before and they perceive you as high status, really easy. It might not be Hormozi for you, but one of these guys, Ray Dalio, let's say, Bill Gates, if someone you really respect and you look up to sends you a cold email, you're like, oh my God, they sent me a cold email. Because number 1, they perceive you as high status. And number 2, they've driven value up front before going for the ask. So all of a sudden, if you can do this, you can manufacture that status and you can manufacture that value and just basically completely separate yourself from the spammy cold emails who are just begging for business. Number 2, what you need is a great backend tech to sustain the sending. For us, this includes like a custom CRM just to keep track of the high volume of leads. We use 50 to 100 different domains with 2 inboxes per domain. Brackets, obviously never send from your main website or domain because you're just going to burn the domain forever. Next, we monitor and test deliverability on these domains weekly to ensure that they're sustained and they're healthy. You also need to clean your lists of emails. So obviously you're uploading email addresses to send to. You want to clean that list just to make sure that you're not reaching out to people who aren't using that email address, which basically improves the performance of the campaign and also protects the deliverability because all the emails that are getting sent are going to someone who's actually active on their account and they're not getting bounced back because the email address that you're trying to send to is not in use, which obviously hurts the reputation because if you send too many of them, Google is just going to say, oh, he's just sending all these emails to random people. Obviously it's spam, get banned. Next thing, you want to automate a lot of the follow-up process because simply put, there are going to be too many leads for a human to do it. This is a bit complex. There's a lot of stuff on the back end. This is what the custom tracker looks like. You want to have a little bit of stuff going on in the back end just so you can see exactly what the percentages are. You want to see exactly what's going on. If something gets blocked, if something gets banned, you need to be able to fix it, really be able to troubleshoot quite quickly. The way that it looks is you have 50 to 100x domains. So you can see here, these are all your websites, for example, gosoftwaronsolutions.com. And then what you want to have is get, up to 100 to 200 of these. And then from each domain, you can see there, you get 2 inboxes. So you can see here, 2 inbox, 2 inbox, until you get 100 to 200 email inboxes. And then you can send between 25 to 50 emails per inbox per day without getting banned. So even with 100 inboxes at low volume, so 25 would be low, you can send 2,500 emails per day. And if I can get rid of my big fat head, chuck myself up here, you can see that you get 125 emails per day. 15 to 25% of replies are positive at KPI, and then 15% of 125, 18.75 positive replies per day. And then ideally 30 to 40% of them are getting booked. So from there, you can see how, you might book a bunch of calls. The problem is that if you want to reach KPI, and let me just get my head back down here. Beautiful. there we are. If you want to reach KPI, you're going to need to buy a bunch of domains. You're going to need to set up MX, SPF, DMARC, DKIM, and CNAME codes in the back end of the domain. You're going to need to set up forwarding. You're going to need to set up a custom tracking domain. You're going to need to set up mailbox filters. You're going to need to use a sending tool to deploy this many emails from the inboxes all at once. You're going to need to use Spintax AI and personalization to differentiate each email because no human's basically going to send the same email twice. So the sending tools will see this as spam. Then when you land in spam, no emails get received by your ideal prospects, and then you make no money, and then you are poor forever, which is obviously not ideal. So you need that in place. You also want to use a tool to send the automated emails to your inboxes. So a tool that's sending emails to you, so it looks like there is a normal human operating the inbox. A lot of this stuff is just about making yourself look like a regular human who operates an email address normally. So if you use that frame, you're going to be able to do quite well. You're going to need to slowly ramp up at the right pace as well, so you don't set off any alarms in the sending platforms, Google and Outlook. No human is going to go off and start sending 400 million emails from an email address the day that it's made. So don't be stupid, you'll be right. Like I said, if you have that frame of using an inbox the same way a human would, you'll be fine. You also need to appropriately manage having dozens of leads per day come through your CRM without letting them slip through, or you may as well just burn the money, because obviously there's a bit of cash that goes behind the system. You also want to automate the tracking process so you know which campaigns are working and which aren't. So this is very, very important. You're doing a lot of split tests. You need to really be making data-driven decisions. And then what you can do is you can identify where your bottleneck is, usually targeting copywriting or deliverability. Then what you need to do is find 50 to 100,000 email addresses of your ideal customers per month, which is basically, what's the point of emailing people if they aren't qualified, that aren't going to buy your stuff? That's what most people do. And the hint is that most people suck. Caveat: if you don't have 50 to 100,000 people in your niche, or you don't even have, you don't have a couple 100,000, don't be too afraid of that. You can do this at lower volume. You can also be a little bit manipulative about who exactly your ICP is, different niches, scaling horizontally, et cetera, et cetera. And what you can also do is basically keep your pipeline ready. So you might be able to email someone and then 6 months later you can circle back. There's little ways to get around this that I won't go too deep into. But yeah, next, the next thing you want to do is basically just make sure that you're not doing this stuff. So this is really key. So you do not want to treat cold leads like they are warm leads. So you need to treat cold leads like they are cold leads. Hold on, what am I even talking about? Most of all, there are two things that most people do not do. Sorry. Most people don't do this. My bad. So most people don't treat cold leads like they're cold leads. Sorry. They treat cold leads like they're hot leads. I was thinking that doesn't make sense, but it does make sense now. You basically need to focus on driving value and turning a cold lead into a warm lead rather than rushing to the close. That's really important. And then number two is that this is done by having a triple plus content. It doesn't matter where you house it. People say YouTube, Google Docs, Gamma, your uncle's house. It doesn't matter. Driving value is the one thing that is going to help you build rapport with cold leads so you can then find actual buyers and gain invaluable market insights. The quality of the content is where a lot of the differentiation occurs. So keep that in mind. Then you get to the next step, which is basically defining the logic. So at this point, you have calls booked and you have a bunch of campaign data. What you need to do is aggregate your findings and create a thesis or argument. So a thesis is basically just your reasoning for why someone should buy stuff. And what you're going to see here is if you go take a look, you're going to see A, B, C, D, E. You're going to see a couple hundred emails, 900 emails sent. This one was not performing, so we cut it. And then what you can see here is we're making data-driven decisions. We can say, okay, this one had a higher positive reply rate. This one had, XYZ reply rate. And what you're going to do is see that here in the ideas in email E, they vastly outperform the ones in email B. So we can use the angles and the logic from email E in our copywriting to scale rather than the campaigns, rather than the ideas in email B. So email E down here, 6% reply rate, 24% positive reply rate, and then you can go and say, oh, look at email B, 0% positive reply rate because they all suck. Why would we use email B? Why would we scale that? It's terrible. There's no good ideas in there. So let's use the ones from email E. The first thing that you need to do here is create the offer. So you want to do a little bit of this before, obviously, because you're going to need to be sending offers on your cold emails. But what you can do is use the right ideas that are tested by data. And sometimes, you want to be aware not to go too small in terms of your data set. So even sending 900 emails is probably not enough to get a statistically relevant piece of data. If you've done any science, you know that the more trials you do, the more accurate the data becomes because statistical variance goes down in prevalence. So what you want to do is send as many emails as you possibly can and test it with as high of a size as you possibly can as fast as possible. There's obviously diminishing returns there, but what you want to do with that information is then go ahead and create the offer. Obviously, first things best dressed. The biggest mistake you can ever do is just assume that what you're doing is the optimal state. So even with an offer that is already making revenue, there is a big chance of a false positive. A lot of times there's things like referrals, warm traffic that might make you think that something's being bought, and it's like, oh no, we're making money, it's all good. But a lot of times you might just have a serviceable offer that sells well, like a Ford Focus, that might be able to be repositioned as a Ferrari if executed correctly. Because sometimes there's a chance you might be looking here, you might be saying, oh, look at this car, look at this car, look at this car, which is the best option. But you might be able to say, screw that, let's take the jet. This image is from Alex Hormozy. So the reason most businesses fail to pierce the market is because they don't understand their market, or they're working under incorrect assumptions that they have made. So both of these are equally wrong and lead to infinitely worse outcomes. So it is basically essential that you don't do this, because it's a one-way ticket to your customers constantly questioning why or how you are different to your competitors. So keep that in mind. What you want to do is use the insights and the sales call recordings from the outbound prospecting to generate assets like teaser VSLs, main VSLs for your lander, long form sales letters, post booking VSLs. You basically want to just build out the funnel, and then you want to use that process to inform how you build the product as well. And that can also be used to determine whether certain features and benefits are necessary to deliver or even build before building them. So you want to actually build your solution and mold your solution into what is going to sell. So go back, watch your sales call recording, see what questions are being asked, see what perks people up. And the likelihood is that you might find, and this happens a lot, is that some stuff that you're building is just not relevant. You might think of an idea, you might make something up, and then all of a sudden it's just not relevant to anyone and nobody wants to buy it. And then you realize, I'm wasting my time. The better outcome that you can have here is, instead of letting this waste years of your time, where you're building something for 3 years and wasting a bunch of money and resources, you want to sell this and then figure out, oh shit, I don't need to build that. There's much easier path to success by selling this instead of that. Okay, that can inform my product. I can go and sell that. And then you use the VSL to sell that. This is what I was talking about earlier when I was talking about the convergence of marketing, sales, and product, where you're using the marketing to generate leads and run tests. You're using sales to get more close to the data, getting that primary source data, speaking with the customers, finding these insights. What do they want? What don't they want? What do they buy? What perks them up? What makes their face light up? You can literally see this on calls. And then what you can do is build the product, and it becomes a self-fulfilling flywheel. If that makes sense, I hope it does. And like I said, the reason for this is that differentiation occurs at the content level. So you want to make all this stuff over here because the differentiation occurs at the content level. If done right, prospects are going to show up to these calls warm rather than cold and unqualified, like quote unquote normal. It's not normal, but that's what people think is normal. You're not going to have to rely on a massive sales team. You can get your own traffic on YouTube as well. Your sales process is going to be largely automated because the content is going to do the selling. Your sales cycle is going to be reduced, and you can use this stuff to train your sales team on the perfect pitch because they can just regurgitate the content to sell. So once you determine the target and direction, you want to create a headline that cuts through the market. That's where most of the leverage is, according to David Ogilvy. 80%, if you don't know Ogilvy, I've got his book somewhere, but he's one of the best advertisers of all time. And then once you have the headline working, you can test the offer and ideas on the calls and find out the exact situation the customers are in. We use this information to create the first draft of the sales letter. Once we have the first draft of the sales letter, you want to test it and validate that it converts and the price of the offer gets a good return. If it's validated, update the sales letter and push more traffic. So the logic is basically the content and the argument, and the sales letters. You get some virality in there through YouTube. It's not virality like Mr. Beast virality. It basically just means that people are talking about your solution. So the logic that you have is basically the idea, the thesis, and also what's informing the product. And if that is correct, that is going to actually get pushed, and you're using the content and the outbound prospecting to do this. That is the mechanism. So the idea is that you are distributing your logic through content and outbound sales. And then if people validate that argument on content, cold email, and sales calls, you'll know you've got a winner. So you know you've got a winner. What you're doing, again, I'll say it one more time. You are running tests, you are making assets, you are conducting sales calls, and then you're using that information to make more assets and get more sales calls. Then over time, you just get closer and closer and closer towards something that is an absolute banger in terms of your thesis for content. Your thesis for content is not a singular thesis. This is the stuff that basically informs your entire marketing campaign. What you want is to have a set of ideas that you know are validated, that you know are going to sell your product, and then that gets distributed through all your content and all your sales. So it's not just one thing. One thing doesn't really work. You want to have a lot of things that are constantly pushing volume, and that is how you get outsized results. So what it actually looks like is you've got your cold email, your advertising, you've got your banger headline, you've got your teaser / magnet VSL. That's 3 to 5 minutes usually. And then you've got your main VSL, 15 to 20 minutes. Then you've got your book a call and your long form sales letter. Then you've got your post booking VSL. And then down here, you'll probably have a lot of your pre-call automations and stuff like that. And pre-call nurture, stuff like that. What you're seeing is that people are going, it's a basic sales funnel. So you're getting people in the top of the funnel, you're shoving them down the funnel, and you have different assets that are going to help convert them. Previously, this had been done with products, but a lot of the time, if you're selling B2B, you're just basically looking for a nurture sequence where people get more and more captivated, more and more curious, more and more interested until it gets to the point that they're looking to buy. So this is something that you're going to want to look at. Let me see here. Should I get... Where should I go? Let's go down here. This is something that you're going to want to look at. So essentially, you've got this whole chart. You've got content, outbound, SDI, outbound, ads, and referral traffic. You're sending them to a VSL. Then you're sending them to a Typeform. Did they book? Yes or no. If they didn't book, you're going to dial them. If they book, they go to the post-call VSL. Post-booking VSL, sorry. Then if they get dialed, did they book? VSL. If they didn't book, you've got a nurture sequence, you've got a school group, you've got an email list, you've got more assets over here to nurture them into booking eventually. Then if they did, you've got the post-booking VSL, then you've got some pre-call nurture stuff. Go down here, emails, looms, more assets, emails, reminders, et cetera, just to make sure that they're showing and they're coming to the call warm rather than having these people come to the call super, super cold. So you want to have a no-show flow in place, and then you can go to the triage call, and then you're conducting the rest of your sales process. So you can see the reason that these things all exist, there's a bunch of stuff, is what is it worth if nobody consumes any of the assets? People need to be encouraged to consume stuff. People are busy. A lot of the times they just need a little nudge, or they need a little bump, not a little bump, they need a little bump up of a message. The idea is that you start with something that is low commitment and high value. Then as you build trust and deliver on your promises, the prospect is going to consume more and more stuff. A well-scripted video is going to actually act as your best sales rep that never runs out of gas and continues to sell and allows you to scale with a smaller sales team. So if your content is dialed in, you're really only going to need 1 to 3 sales reps. It's not too much, not too difficult. Then step 3, at this point, you have an argument or a thesis that works, and all you need to do is focus on getting your ideal customer to pay attention and buy into your logic or thesis. You just need to basically show them the logic and continue to encourage them to consume the logic. So where that occurs is content. Basically, this takes time, but it's free and worth building up. You can have it on your landing page. Obvious ROI on the landing page because it's the central point of reference for all the leads and basically the home for all the social proof headlines offering VSL. You want to have all your assets there. You want to put the assets in your sales process used to reduce the reliance on the sales call. Then at the last ditch effort, you also want to have the logic that you have delivered on the sales call, which is a requirement at this stage in the market to continue to build trust. But some of my clients are actually able to close, multi-four-figure, like, $4,000 to $10,000 retainers without a call, which is really, really interesting. So what it looks like is you've got your content, you've got your VSLs, you've got your dialing, you've got your VSLs, you've got more VSLs, you've got all this stuff that is just built in to basically help you sell. And then at this point, you've got some bonus steps. Oh, let's go back. You've got some bonus steps. So at this point, finding really small percentage gains at this point in the sequence where you've got logic, you've delivered logic, you've made your first sales, you've made a bunch of sales. Finding those gains is really important because outcomes occur at a higher rate. So if you have 100 sales calls and your close rate is 20%, a small increase of 5% will equate to 5 new deals. However, if you do this earlier than this and you focus on your close rate before, you only have 10 sales calls, it will equate to maybe 1 extra deal. So then you can see once you're rolling and you're up and going, it's much higher leverage to look at things that are conversion mechanisms because they occur so much, and it's really high leverage to get things as tight as possible and shoot for the moon. So what that looks like is you want to run individual call reviews and get sales training, do some tracking, optimize your CRM, optimize your pipeline management, look at your funnel conversion, look at your CRO, look at split testing VSLs, look at headlines, look at your ad creatives, go through all this stuff and go really, really deep. You also want to be doing more of what's already working. So you want to also look, hey, can I scale my email? Can I scale my ads? Can I look at more content? Can I add a channel? Can I do more VSLs? Can I do more sales letters? Can I distribute case studies? Can I send, how many cold emails can I send in a day? How many sales reps can I have? You want to look at what's efficient and just double down. That's a big part of it, honestly. Summary here is that you're getting data at the start. You're doing your cold email, you're looking at AI, you're doing your call reviews, then you're harvesting those insights over here to make assets and make offers. So this is where your sales letters come in. This is where you're booking calls. This is where you're getting sales. This is where you're converting cold traffic to validate that the offer and reasoning will scale on cold. Then from there, you're making more of this, and you're also looking at the sales process. You're looking at the funnel. You're looking at the sales enablement and the sales training. How well are we doing all this stuff is going to be determined by the actual stats that you're reaching at the time. Then, whilst you're doing more assets, more offers, doing more validation, you're looking at the sales process, getting this stuff dialed in. At this point, you should be making a decent amount of cash. And when I say a decent amount of cash, you're looking at 30 to 80K MRR around this range. Then you're doubling down on that. And I'm talking about added from this channel. So if it's not added from this channel, then it doesn't really count. Then you're going to go to the scaling phase. So this is where you want to add really, really close sales management, really, really close sales tracking, pipeline mastery and CRM stuff, split tests, content, cold email, ads, sales team, etc. This is where you're really just pushing the envelope and you're just sitting in, you're basically sitting in the pocket for as long as possible at this stage. A lot of this process is not necessarily new stuff, quote unquote. The value is in the optimizations and the knowledge that it's going to be done to the 99th percentile. So that's where most of the money is made. You need to really focus in and really get good at all of this stuff. It's all validated and proven stuff. Everybody knows this stuff works. It's already done. This is all the growth stuff that's done in the market at the high level. But as you would know, everyone in the men's 100-meter Olympic sprint can run fast. But it's only Usain Bolt who wins the race because he has optimized his way into getting that extra 0.1% to get the gold medal. I don't even know the name of the guy who comes second every year, but it's always the same guy. He's there, he's coming second, but he just gets out optimized by Usain Bolt, who eventually takes the chocolates. So, option one, at this stage, someone's probably going to usually tell you how hard it is to go and do it on your own and how you absolutely need to work with them. To be honest, I'm not sure that's the case. 97% of people watching this are not going to be a good fit. So option one is genuinely book a free consultation call. So what I'm going to do is I have guarantees and I have ROI guarantees in place. So I really don't want to deal with you as a full-time client if I don't think you're going to get results. So what I'll do is I'll tell you exactly how to do all of this stuff specific for your situation, or let you know if it's even worth it to pursue it because you might have lower hanging fruit in another method. I'm not sure. This is also not a good fit for a beginner, more so for someone between 10 to 30 to 50K per month. The caveat is that you have to tell me exactly what you're struggling with and what your biggest bottlenecks are, so I can then go and make content based on your situation and help the rest of the market in your shoes. So it's not necessarily free. I'm going to be trading insights for insights, and that's something I'm absolutely down to do. But just come with a few insights that you might be able to have, make some content for you, and then also I'll give you specialized advice. Option number two is that you might be able to work with us. So if you are truly if you truly believe in your product or service, that's a big one. If you're not a beginner, this is absolutely not for beginners. If you have a team of at least 2 to 3 people already in place, at least, if you've got some great case studies, and if you have some type of edge over the market and you feel like you can reach the top, then keep watching and I'll tell you how I might be able to help you out. Again, agency owners who want to stand out from their competitors and create a cash flow machine, SaaS and AI and tech companies who want to validate their product market fit and build to sell, and most of all, B2B companies that are looking to add 50 to 100K per month in additional revenue in the next 6 to 12 months. If you think this might be you, submit an application at the type form below, and I'll reach out to see if it is a good fit, and then I'll check out your site beforehand and stuff just to make sure that if it's worth chatting, make sure it's worth chatting before chatting. So if you're curious, we won't waste any time talking. Just submit an application and I'll let you know if it's worth it at all. And then note, if you do sell B2C and you are interested in rapid growth, DM me on Instagram and I'll refer you to one of my trusted channel partners. So you can see my Instagram there. Again, case study, 65K a month added, 37 calls a month booked in 5 months, 80K sales in a month within 6 months, 40K a month added in 4 months, 40K sales in 16 days, 20K a month, and 210K in LTGP, that's lifetime gross profit, in 60, 70 days, and 22K MRR, and sold multiple 5K deals in 4 months. So these are the different clients we have across agency, across tech, etc. Basically, we're looking in different niches, and the reason I'm not doxing the clients is because they have their funnels, and I do not want you to funnel hack them. I want you to be absolutely printing if you're one of my clients. And again, if you do want more details about specifically who these guys are, let me know and I'll let you know. Absolutely no secrets on my end, but the caveat is I do not want funnel hackers going and looking at them. So the question is, what do I actually do to get these type of results? And basically I execute this entire process on a done for you basis to add 50 to 100K MRR every 6 to 12 months and consolidate your product market fit. So this is exactly what I do. That means repositioning your offer towards the market message resonance and the product market resonance as well, using the rapid testing and analysis to create a market piercing offer. We use all of our systems, software, CRM, sending tools, AI platforms, and backend to send 30 to 100,000 cold emails per month on your behalf until you drown in qualified leads. So that means we buy and find the domains and make the inboxes. We find all the email addresses. We clean all the lists so you don't have to worry about unqualified leads or emailing people that aren't active. We send all the emails for you. We avoid all the technical issues of the domains breaking, the getting banned, et cetera, et cetera. We avoid all that stuff for you. We manage all the leads with our in-house SDR to book the calls on your calendar who have already spoken to someone representing your company on the phone. This is a major, major point of difference. We will literally have one of our team members conduct initial calls with your ICP to make sure that they are an ideal prospect before booking them on your calendar. So not only does this 3x the lead to booking rate, anybody who is not a good fit gets disqualified before talking to you, so you don't waste time with any tire kickers. This is the worst thing that I see people do. They want to book so many calls that they just book anyone on the calendar. They just have the calendar open for people. This is completely stupid. You want to be qualified before getting on the calendar, so we're not wasting time. This is a very, people are busy. I don't want to book calls on your calendar that aren't good. So what they do is they also get warmed up, and the additional call basically helps to encourage the prospect to go through the content. So that warms them up even more. So we want to have warm prospects, not cold. We also use the data insights and sales call recordings from the email campaigns to create video assets that pre-sell prospects before the calls to use in your sales process, landing page, funnels, and media distribution. We create the scripts, we show you how to record, and we get it edited once we need to. So we don't actually edit all the videos. We want to validate the messaging before editing because you're going to spend a bunch of cash editing the video, or you can validate the messaging and then only have to edit it once. Pretty easy decision for us, but we do all the copywriting research and editing required for those assets to be made, like we showed you in that document. And then we also create and execute all the email sequences for the following up with the prospects and manage your pipeline on one-to-one calls with you to find and close more deals without doing any extra outreach or spending any money on ads. So we've literally had clients come in and add multiple tens of thousands of dollars per month in MRR just by looking at the pipeline. So what we have is we have things like opt-in and no demo nurture sequences. We have no-show flows. We have direct meeting sequences. We have info request sequences. We have future sequences. We have demo no-close sequences. We have referral sequences. We have custom sequences. And we have demo no-close sequences, as you can see here. Sorry, my thing was coming up there. And you can see a little graphic there of what we do as well. So this is a little bit of an insight into our back end. So you can see this is some pretty intense stuff to make this all happen. This is absolutely ridiculous, but this is on make.com. We have all these automations going on. It's very, very difficult at times, but we love it. So it's all good. So after that, once you're outgunning the entire market, because this is basically the equivalent of bringing a nuclear bomb to a knife fight, you essentially just need to push it to the validation. So like I said before, I've got a background in sales. So we give you some one-to-one sales training and enablement. We're going to build a CRM for you and manage it with you every single week. And then we're also going to optimize the funnel for you. And we're going to build the entire sales process and assets for you as well. So we're going to build out all this stuff. We're going to build out all the stuff we talked about in this video. And after that, you're probably going to need more team members. You're probably going to need a sales team. You're probably going to need more ads, more cold email, or more content. So what we'd like to do is discuss that specifically on calls with people, because most of the time it doesn't make sense for people to take a specific route. You just want to have all that stuff available. So, we might have a referral for you. You might have someone that can help you out with your specific situation. The whole point is, if you had this entire system in your business, do you think you could reach your goals? I'd honestly like to think so, because we've taken months and months and months and months and months to get this system optimized. We've taken so much information from the market, so many data points, spoke with so many people to make sure that this process is optimized. All this stuff is super important. Each step in the funnel is there for a specific reason. We don't do stuff for fun. Although we do have we have a lot of fun, but we don't include stuff in the system for fun. Everything there is extremely essential to the entire protocol success, and we're also constantly adding to it. So all of this stuff is only there because it was necessary for it to be there. I would love more than anyone to just send one email and then close someone on a call. We do that sometimes. It's absolutely lovely. But in order to scale into cold traffic, it's a little bit harder to get access to people that aren't directly in the market to buy right now. So for example, if I buy a bottle of water, I don't need all this stuff to go on, I don't need to go watch a bunch of videos to go and buy that bottle of water because I'm in the market to buy it right now. But if I wanted to be convinced to buy a bottle of water, there might be a little bit of a system behind that. And again, especially if the water was, a couple of $1,000s. So what we do is we work with you closely, almost on an in-house basis, on a done for you basis, while also consulting you and your team and providing SOPs alongside a host of other bonuses for our clients, such as a referral network, proprietary frameworks, our hiring channels, and more. So that's what you need to know. If that seems relevant for you, if that's something you're interested in hearing about, or if you just want an audit, et cetera, chuck in an application down below at the type form, and we will be able to tell you if it's worth chatting, if we can help you, or if we have some specific pointers for you. Some questions might be asking right now. The way that it works in multiple niches is that I deal with very specific manner with different ideal customers and ideal profiles. As a result, essentially every single new client that I have is a new niche because there's a new customer to deal with. And regardless of whether they're in finance or marketing or wherever, that is literally just how specific we get. It's a very, very specific people that we work with when it comes to finding our clients, customers or our clients' clients. So again, also I'd rather not partner with more than one person per niche anyway, simply because that would lead to me competing with myself and the whole company that we have competing with our clients, competitors. It's not ideal. So we have a very boutique solution. And it's honestly, like I said, we've got ROI guarantees, stuff like that. So it would make much more sense to take on a few clients and go long rather than sell to anyone. Honestly, I really don't the likelihood is if we talk, I'm probably not going to sell you. I actually don't want to deal with it, which is probably a funny thing. But a lot of the time it's just like, I can just look at an offer and say, look, you just need to go over and do that. It's going to take time. You need to focus on the product, stuff like that. So it really doesn't make sense for us. So what happens is a lot of times your business becomes an elite sales organization. And then sometimes we help to work with you to fulfill the demand. We have some operations guys that we know that can help you out as well. That's more of a referral thing, but all you need to do is take care of the product. We take care of the distribution. We help give your bandwidth back, and we help release that ball of anxiety about pipeline growth and your growth goals. So what you want to do is you have more high paying clients. You want to get out of the day to day, and you also want to see cash begin to pile up in the checking account. That's really the goal here, because a lot of the time we see these guys have grinded for hours and hours and hours and put in the work that wills fortunes from the mud. But sometimes it's time to open the doors and let in some help. So if you want to reinvigorate yourself, if you want to commit to the next phase, and if you want to have a lot more fun in your business, then basically just go to softrunsolutions.com and book a call or go for an application as well. So summary, we make content that does selling for you. We push traffic to the content, and then we help you kick as many deals over the line as humanly possible. And the caveat, obviously not cheap. Because of the scope of work, we can't take on that many clients at once. And I swear to you, that is as legitimate as any scarcity will ever get on one of these videos. But like I said, throw in an application and we'll see what happens. See if it makes sense. And like I said, we have guarantees in place. Don't do bad business. It's not how we like to work. So yeah, application or at softrunsolutions.com. My team will reach out soon. Cheers.